Hello again, YouTube. This is my first impression slash review, kind of, part 3, and the last part I will record of this, and the next one will be my full review. In the first one, I talked about the battery life and the colors. In the last one, I'll talk a little bit more about the colors and started talking about the camera. And now I will start where I left off the last time. And that was talking about the camera. So I want to talk about the camera a little bit more. Last time I talked about how I was impressed about the basic mode actually taking very good pictures and how the exposure are always correct. I have edited some of my pictures, and when I edit the exposure, normally I edit the exposure by plus 15 to 20 or minus 15 to 20 when I edit the exposure, because when I edit the exposure it's because I think it's kind of wrong. But with these pictures I have max use plus or minus 1 when I edit the exposure. So actually it was nearly perfect or exactly perfect every single time. In some single few photos I have actually used around minus 15 in the exposure, but that is not because it looks more realistic like that. That is only because I wanted to look darker, so to have the feeling of the bad weather, because it actually looks too good, I think, to really describe how bad the weather was when I took some of the pictures. So it was not more realistic, the exposure was perfect, and the exposure was perfectly realistic. But if you want to get the feelings right in the picture, you could edit the exposure a little bit. However, also talked about that I was out taking some pictures today, taking quite a big walk, and well, there I actually got a lot of shots with manual settings and auto settings and basic mode 2, and shots in totally rainy weather. So I think I have really tried the phone in many different ways now, in good weather and bad weather. And before I also took, as you can see on my Instagram, some reflection pictures, and they went out quite well, I think. There was a lot of details in the pictures always when I took it with this phone, and there were even details in the reflections. However, maybe the camera has impressed me, but I have also tried filming a bit with the camera. The filming is quite another story with this camera, but the filming part actually impressed me too. I was of course trying filming to see how great the quality was in 4K HDR, how the image quality was, but I actually was very surprised by how the microphone was, because the microphone was really amazing. And you can see that in some of my other videos, because I have uploaded 4 small videos already where I have used this phone to take the videos, and the inside mics of the phone, no external mics used in none of the videos. All 4 videos it is used is all the 4 videos is recorded only with this phone. So as you have seen for yourself, the microphones are really amazing. In one of the videos I'm speaking very loud and clearly like I am now. I was actually speaking exactly like I am now, and it was really loud when you see the videos with headphones on, it's like too loud. You cannot turn all the way up. You have to turn a bit down actually. In one of the other videos, I'm speaking very subtle, like I never done in videos before, because when I do that, you cannot hear me. But even there, you can hear me loud and clearly. It's actually almost so near almost better, because it's not too loud and you will not hurt your ears. However, I can try talking a bit like that. Now I was like talking a bit like this. I was actually talking exactly like this. It was like that. I was talking. I don't know if you could hear that at all, but that was how I talked in the video. Like the second video I just talked about, the video where I talk with a very subtle voice. That was like I talked just before. I don't know if you can hear it on this video, because this is filmed with another camera with not as good microphones, so I think you cannot hear it, because normally you will not hear that voice when I see the video afterwards. However, I actually tried to play back the videos on the phone itself, and this has the best screen in the world, and that is no discussion. That is blind tested, and it's the only 4K screen. It's the only 10-bit color screen. But I was actually very impressed by the speakers of the phone, because they are so loud but also so clearly perfectly quality. So when I turn all the way up, it's like extremely loud, and it's like sounding so good, you won't believe it. I don't know how else to talk about, because what can I say? It's like you have to hear it for yourself. I can try show you a video I have recorded, like the video you have seen, one of the rainy vlog videos. However, you will not be able to hear it exactly how it is, because it's recorded with these microphones and they are worse than the quality of the speakers, so you'll not be able to hear it fully quality, but you can maybe hear how loud it is compared to my voice. Hello guys, it's a quick video from the after rain evening here in my city of Tostrup. Full volume right now. You can see the sun is out again. The sky is blue and white in the background, like it should be, because I'm way longer away from the mic. In the red surface of the street. I can try to take it closer to my mouth to see if you can hear me. Now it's the same distance. I'm not sure if you can hear me. This is from Tostrup. I was speaking with this voice, like this loud, when the video was played, but I'm sure you will not be able to hear me this clear. And that is what I can show you about the mics, and nothing more, sadly. But it's not even loud. It is good quality too. Also, the phone has this vibrating haptic engine, where it vibrates to the sound of whatever you are playing back on the speakers. And it even works with headphones too, if you have the screen turned on. So if you're watching a video, for example, and have headphones on, you're mostly holding the phone in your hands, and then it will vibrate too. If you turn off the screen, however, it will stop vibrating. Maybe because normally when you turn off the screen, you put it in the pocket, and maybe you don't want it to vibrate in your pocket. However, this dynamic vibration, I actually think it's quite nice to have. But that is how you want it. It's different from people to people. However, you can always turn it off, so I guess you cannot be angry about having it. If you're not using it, just don't use it. Most people don't use every feature on a phone, because a phone can do so many different things nowadays, so that's just normal thing to not do it. And well, I guess that's what I'm most excited about, what I have been most surprised of. I can talk a bit about the camera settings too. I have been out today and I have tried some manual settings. I have been out lately too to take some proper night shots, and actually the auto mode is quite nice to take night shots too, because it can actually use a fifth of a second shutter speed. And actually a few times, but I have never tried the handheld, but when I put it on a tripod, it had actually used a quarter of a second shutter speed when only using the basic mode. So it is quite versatile basic mode. It can do a lot of things. It does everything out automatically, but it does very different things depending on the situation. And maybe a fifth of a second is not a good idea when it's handheld, because it most of the time get a bit shaky. But if you take 3 or 4 pictures in a row and you get used to holding it still, because it will say you have to, then most of the time one of the pictures are usable. But a fifth of a second in handheld, it's not that easy to get a good picture. However, you can always go to manual settings and either set the shutter speed faster or use a tripod and set the shutter speed slower. Because when you're using a fifth of a second shutter speed, of course it is dark. But you can also set the shutter speed a bit faster and just use a higher ISO. And if you only have handheld option right now, that is the best thing you can do, and you will get a proper picture that is usable to some extent. However, I have tried using a tripod a lot this evening and using a 1 second shutter speed, and the pictures turned out great and like perfectly very detailed, no really noise in the picture. However, they were still a bit dark in some of the dark situations, so I tried setting the shutter speed to 4 seconds. I got some good picture there, and in some few situations I actually set the shutter speed all the way up to 15 seconds. Because you can set the shutter speed up to 30 seconds, and it goes like this. It goes 1 second, 2, 4, 8, and then it jumps all the way up to 15, and then all the way up to 30. However, 30 is not usable in even the darkest situation, because I used like 15 in a totally dark situation with like no light at all, and it was a bit too bright actually with an ISO at 100. So you can actually not use like 30 to take good pictures. I think it has to be really dark, and I'm not sure it can get even darker than that. But 30 are more like to making fun photos with light. If you have a really dark area and you have some light, you can move around, you can make some great pictures. Or at a highway, taking some pictures of the cars, and you will see the light of the cars going through all of the frame. However, actually 15 second shutter speed was really useful in some situations, because in some situations it turns out better than 1 second shutter speed. So the ability to go all the way to 30 is quite nice to have on this phone. And no matter what situation you are in, if you have a tripod and you got the time to set the settings, take more than one picture, like a maximum of 5 pictures with the same settings, you will get a perfectly looking picture at some point every time when using this phone. So that's quite nice to know. Now I have tried the things I normally use on my phones. Since the Xperia XZ from 2017, I have used 1 second shutter speed and tripods to take good night shots, and I have taken really good night shot with that phone. It has upgraded lately. Later I upgraded to a phone that could take 10 seconds shutter speed photos, and that was also useful in some situations. However, it was not that good to it. Sometimes you could use the light, but sometimes they were just not that perfect when using 10 seconds compared to 1 second. Here with this phone, even 15 seconds can do perfect if you have the time and it's not windy. It was a bit windy today, so there was a lot of blurry pictures, because not because of the phone or because of the tripod, but because the plants was waving in the wind, so the plants get blurry. So if you have a not windy day at all, 15 second shutter speed can be near than perfect looking still. So it is better than my latest two phones, where I have used 1 second plus shutter speed. And even with these phones I could get quite good night pictures. But with this phone I have even more versatility in the manual settings I can change to get the perfect picture every single time. So maybe it's not the best one to take a fast snap night shot just by pressing the button and let the phone do anything it wants to do. But if you change the manual settings yourself, you can always get the best night shot on this phone, I will say. Because it has the settings, it has the software to do the settings other phones don't have, and you cannot discuss that it has the most advanced manual settings in a phone camera in the world right now, and that is useful to some extent sometimes in some situations. So that is quite nice to have, and I like that because I like to change the settings before I take pictures. So I really like this phone can do that. But it is mostly for you that want to take your time to take pictures. It's mostly for you that has a tripod. But if you like rambling around with the settings before taking pictures, if you like using tripods, this is a quite nice phone for you, I think. Quite nice to have. Maybe other phones can be nice too, but this phone will surely be nice for you if you are like that. And I am that. But I think this is what I have to say tonight. So I'll end this video now and work on my full review. It will come out late this week, so stay tuned for that, because that will be a totally overhaul of this phone and everything I have experienced and everything I know about it. So I think it will be interesting, and I think it will answer all of the latest questions you have. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.